Hey guys, welcome back to Raven Maven. We have another amazing episode, and I have with me Nola Ro. I'm going to let her introduce herself. So, Nola, you want to take it?
Yes, of course. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. Thank you guys so much for engaging me. My name is Nola Ro. I am a mompreneur and a culinary chef, vegan culinary artist. And I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of things. I think this woman is going to dig up all in my business. So I'm ready.
Thank you for that exciting and funny introduction. We're going to re-love it. So, Nola, I want to just, start with, as you said, you are a culinary chef and a vegan, I think you called it
artist. I think I tripped myself up, so now I'm tripping you up. Vegan culinary artist.
Vegan culinary artist, and I really like that. So just tell me how you got into veganism and what made you decide to focus on that in your career as a culinary artist.
First of all, I have started my food journey ever since I was a baby. I was born a picky eater. So from day one, I was very particular about what I ate. That's just the spirit that I came out with. In 2000, around 2007, 2008, a friend of mine called me and she said, listen, I was watching this program last night. This man, his name is Kevin Trudeau. He's on there. He's promoting a book called Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. And this is right up your alley. I think you would be interested. So I ordered the book, got the book, read it in one day. I literally walked around the whole day just reading this book. It was so good. And then what happened with that book is it really put me on to the organic world. And being from Guyana, that's all we had was organic food. So I was like, wait a minute, I remember this. I already know this. So this makes sense. So I switched to all organic and it pretty much changed my life. At the age of 17, I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease. And the doctors told me that when I asked them, how long will it be before I will need like aggressive treatment? They said, maybe by age 30. But the instructions that I got was to immediately change my diet, stay off the McDonald's, stop eating Chinese food. Did I listen? No. No, I didn't. I just stayed on that course. I was a Big Mac queen, beef and broccoli queen. And it took me maybe 8 years or so, give or take, before I actually changed my diet because I kept getting sick. I was in the hospital twice for 14 days with kidney issues. And when I switched to organic, I didn't get sick again. Wow. 30 years old, the age that they gave me when I should expect these aggressive treatments, that's 7 years ago. And I have not had any symptoms. Now, I've always been interested in learning new things about food. So with me learning how the food industry operated and how different foods affected your body, I switched to pescatarian, right? So then I was only eating seafood. That lasted for a little while, and then I switched to vegetarian. And, almost every Black person could probably relate to the fact that dairy doesn't work for us like that. So what I learned is that the lactose, the sugar in dairy is not meant to be in your body because cow's milk was meant for baby cows, not right. Humans. We already have our milk. We don't need to be drinking anybody else's milk past infancy. So that catapulted me into veganism. And when I started eating a plant-based diet, my body was happy. And I have to stick to it. It's not that I'm saying, hey, you know what, I like vegan food better. I actually have to, because when I don't, my body is like, what are you doing? We're not doing this. So, I decided to turn it into a business. 2020 started, and I decided to switch my catering business, Sumptuous Bites, into an all 100% vegan business. So it's been a journey since age 17, well, infancy, and here we are. 37 years of foodism.
So, what I find interesting about, your whole journey into practicing a vegan diet, and I really like how you showed the progression and it wasn't an overnight thing. And I've noticed that with a couple of other people who are transitioning, because I feel like for me, I've tried veganism several times, and every time I've tried it, it's always been like very disruptive. And I'm starting to realize that things in life there is disruption, but sometimes for things to really stick, there needs to be some time for you to adapt to it. So if you're not allowing yourself the amount of time to do so, then you easily fall back to your natural habits, which is you're going to eat like how you've been eating most of your life automatically, So I just think it's really interesting that you just shared that part, because a lot of the time people think they could just skip over into a vegan diet and then it's just going to be all good. And it's not always like that. Like for me, I'm went back to, I'm eating meat again. And my goal is to eventually get to a fully vegan diet, but I've struggled with other things as well. So it's like, I'm trying to get over those things first with my relationship and progress. So do you have any advice for people who are interested in, not necessarily has to be veganism, but just as far as trying to change their habits as far as their relationship with food? Because a lot of people, I don't think I have a healthy relationship with food. And I know there's a lot of other people out there who don't. So would you have any tips in regards to that?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I offer a free monthly online workshop called Intro to Vegan Eating. You can find that information on my page, Whatever Nola Wants, or Sumptuous Bites on Instagram. What I will say when it comes to relationships with food, a lot of times it's not necessarily the food. A lot of times these glitches or these issues stem from other places. So I think it's also important to try to recognize, okay, where is this actually coming from? Do I have this issue with men? Do I have this issue with my mother? Do I have this issue with spending money? Do I have this?
I'm so happy you said that, because I was telling camera person right here, shout out to Iya. I was telling Iya that I really believe my relationship to money and food, I think there's a relationship there, and I haven't pinpointed the triggers, but I act out in those areas with finance and food.
Yeah, and all of those things, they stem from some maybe forgotten or something a very simple source. And I just think it's important to pinpoint that. And once you pinpoint that and figure out, and listen, it's all emotional, because food is really about pleasure, right? Food is mostly about pleasure for most people, and anything dealing with pleasure, most of the time it's an emotional thing going on.
So speaking of that, so what are your goals with Sumptuous Bites? Like, what are the, I guess, the term I would like to use, or what are the cornerstones, or like the mission of Sumptuous Bites? Is there something that you really want to achieve? And do you feel that the space that you're operating in has enough representation as a Black woman, or do you feel like that is changing? So that's a twofold question, but take your time.
No problem. Well, first of all, the very first woman on this planet was a Black woman, and she was plant-based. So
that's right.
There you have it. Shout out to Lucy.
Drop them gems. Y'all can learn about Lucy on the Discovery Channel.
may be lying a little bit, so do some more. Anyway,
Yeah.
The mission of my business is to help people who are curious about veganism. If you're curious and have no idea which direction to go, I can help you. If you are a new vegan and you are intimidated, because new vegans sometimes they're like, I don't know what to eat.
That was me.
Choices are so limited, and I'm like, I can show you. So those are my people. If you're curious, or if you're new, or if you just want to get your feet wet and maybe decide, you know what, this is not for me. Those are the people that I'm here for. I will help you out. Like I said, I do the free workshop. Just hit me up. And I just started this mentorship program. Did you know that Facebook has a mentorship program?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm a part of a few vegan groups on Facebook, and I got this message asking, would you like to be a mentor? And I was like, yeah, of course, because a lot of people are curious, a lot of people need help, and I see how it helped me.
Right.
So why not spread that?
So I would say then you're also a teacher, and it sounds like you enjoy that. Like that's your way of giving back.
You know what's funny? When I was a little girl, maybe elementary school age, I always wanted to be a teacher. Right. But going through school, I was like, I don't want to be that kind of teacher, because these kids, I can't. But coming into this space with my business, I've absolutely been able to fulfill that passion in a different way.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about entrepreneurship. It offers you options, and you're literally the master of your own destiny. You are making the decisions on what you're going to participate in, how are you going to give back, how are you going to build it. It's like all those decisions are essentially up to you. So that's not for everybody, you know, but I think it's just a blessing to know that that's something that you can handle. A lot of people are intimidated about entrepreneurship and about possibly even entering a business like yours. What advice would you give someone who's interested or a little bit hesitant to get into the culinary field and creating a niche for themselves?
Well, first thing is, I come from a family of people who cook. I already had that value. Then my mother, my mother started selling food on the pavement in front of the airport in Guyana when I was a baby. Yeah, she found out the flight schedules, and she would cook food and sat in front of the airport. Granted, that can't happen in New York. That's mad illegal. But she became very popular because her food's very good. Then when we moved to New York, she started doing it in the house, and her dream was always to have her own business in the food industry. So I came from that type of vibe already. So maybe I have an advantage where that part is concerned. But then what I started to learn when I decided I wanted to go into business was that there's a difference between cooking and professional cooking. So that's when I decided that I was going to go to culinary school. So I did that just so I could learn the commercial aspect of it, the business side of it. I graduated in 2015. Wow, it's been that long already?
Wow.
And yeah, I jumped into it. But like I said, I had an advantage, and I do not think entrepreneurship is for everyone. It really is not, because this thing will take you through some stuff that will have you doubting yourself. It would have you doubting, is this really my passion? You know what? Maybe not. Let me go find a poll. Like, you have all types of crazy thoughts going through your head because it's really a challenge that tests you. But if you can stand up to that, you can definitely make it. I would also say, if you're interested, do a lot of research. And I am going to tell you now, you will not understand it until you are in it. Have you ever gotten into something where you're like, okay, I've been wanting to do this forever, but now that I'm in it, it's not what I expect. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I've done that. And I think, you know, every entrepreneur that I know, because literally surround myself with entrepreneurs, and all of them are serial entrepreneurs. They've had started several businesses, and maybe 5, 6 of them failed, but they don't stop, you know. But again, to what you said earlier, I definitely think it's a specific type of person that entrepreneurship or running a business, it's a different mindset. I think also being a person, part of the Caribbean African diaspora, my family, we've always had people, they may have a day job, but they had real estate that they, you know, invested in, and they were landlords. And then my family also had like a catering business. So I think I was exposed to just creating multiple revenue streams at a
Hustling.
young age. And it's really like, you know, changed my life, you know? And the thing is like, I failed to realize that a lot of other people haven't. So I think that's kind of like what makes us unique or makes us who we are today.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that with the audience about what comes with it, because it really is a test to really who you are. Like, are you really what you say you stand for? You know what I'm saying?
It tests your mind, it tests your heart, it tests your guts.
Exactly. And speaking of testing your guts and your mind, so congratulations, because earlier this year you completed the Sacred Women, I guess I would like to call it, what would I like to call it? I would say it's definitely a rites of passage in a way. So can you talk a little bit, because I know a lot of people, I've mentioned this book before. It's by Queen Afua, Sacred Women. Can you just share with people, because that's how Nola and I connected. We met at the Kwanzaa Bar Crawl, and we started talking about this book. So, and then you were telling me that you were basically in the rights right now. So can you just give a little bit of wisdom on what that was like and how that has like impacted your life?
Yeah, sure. Well, it was absolutely a rites of passage. That's precisely what it was. It was a journey that, it's one of those things that once you go through it, you can't be the same anymore. And if you go back to what you were before, you want some licks. Like, that's what the guy people would say, you know. It was such a beautiful journey. Queen Afua, you know, I don't even know the words to put into this because it's so powerful. Now, I think when you and I met, you told me, you know, I started reading this book and the book was like, whoa,
yeah,
this book is like a textbook, everything. It's so detailed and so intentional and powerful. So the concept of it is, it's a 12-week program. We went through 12 gateways throughout each week. But if you follow the book, each gateway it's about 21 days, which I actually want to go back and do it the longer route because it's just so immensely powerful. So you go through 12 gateways, and this is one of the gateways. Actually, this is a symbol of Ma'at, the values that I most resonated with throughout that program, because I found that the part of the program that kind of made me pause and broke me down a little bit is the part that deals with family. And I have had a lot of issues with family, you know, mom issues, dad issues, and other family issues. And the gateway of Ma'at focused on getting in tune with your family, because one thing for sure is a lot of women who have issues with their mothers, they have issues with their womb. So
if you like elaborate on the connection, because I know there's a lot of this. I'm still reading this book because that's how intense and deep it is. So you find yourself rereading the same thing over and over again for understanding. But there's a lot of emphasis on the connection of, it's almost like your womb is your center, you know?
Absolutely. The womb is the center of everything. There is not a person here who wasn't in there. That's where we all came from. This is like the portal from wherever we came from into this realm. So, we really don't give the womb the respect and relevance that we should. We treat it like it's irrelevant. We eat certain ways and we abuse it, and we carry a lot of negative energies in our bodies. And essentially, this is like just as important as your brain. I didn't even know that when I read this book, I learned that women who, have their wombs taken out, they're never the same again. It affects their personalities, it affects the way they think, it affects the way they function, and sometimes they're never the same. Didn't know that. And it just goes to show how important this part of your body is. And the program is really centered on the womb, although we don't sit around talking about the uterus all day long, but we definitely learn how important this is. We drink herbs, we go through detoxes, we do very special womb yoga, womb exercises, womb dances. And Queen Afua, honey, she is in her 60s, pushing 70. You should see that lady go on her head.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. Queen Afua is completely together. Like, she definitely is symbolic of what it means to respect your temple. And I admire her a lot, because it's like, damn, I don't know if I'll ever get to this point,
And that point is not necessarily for everyone, because right. Queen needed to be there to give us what she's giving us. And I will tell you this, I have trust issues, but Queen Afua, just like Dr. Maya Angelou, there are people who, when they speak, it's truth. I've never had a situation where I'm listening to them and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm gonna do my research. That doesn't add up. Everything they say is genuine and true. Now, one really amazing experience that I had with Queen is my graduation, which is called an ascension. It took place in LA. So in January, we all flew to LA, all of my sacred sisters and I. The program was 200 women. So we were super deep in LA, and the last night when everything was ended, I had a chance to sit down with Queen and speak with her. And I said, I'm not staying in this hotel. The ascension took place in a hotel, and most of the people were staying in the hotel. And I told her I rented an apartment somewhere else, because I always rent apartments because I need to cook my own food. So I was like, and I have a gift for you, and it's back at the apartment. When can I give it to you? She said, I'm leaving tomorrow. Come back in the afternoon around 12. So I got up the next morning, got to the hotel. As I got off the elevator, Queen was standing right there with her suitcases. She was about to leave.
Wow.
So yeah, I was giving her a card with a letter. I needed to tell her where I came from to where I ended up, just because of the rites of passage. We went to the lobby. She sat down. She opened up that card. She read it. The bellman, the hotel manager, came over to her, and they were speaking to her, and she never once, and this is something that I learned too, she's reading this card and she never once looked up, because she was like, I'm doing something. You see me doing something, you're gonna wait, right? But she wasn't rude or malicious about it. It was just this Queen shit, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I admired that, and I love that they understood as well, like, okay, we just need to step back for a moment. And I appreciated that she was that, she was that deep into what I was writing in that card. And when she was done, she looked at me, she put her hands on me, and that whole thing was genuine. So those are the type of women that I like to follow. And if you don't know who Queen Afua is, get to know her. She is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, guys, you should definitely connect with her. She's touched so many lives. You may have seen her recently with a lot. Black Girls Rock, I think she did a session on there this year. And she actually has worked with Lauren London and very close to that family as well. She knows a lot of celebrities, but beyond that, just like, this woman is really doing godly work you know? So if you are looking to improve yourself or looking for additional knowledge, I'm going to be dropping that in the description below. But thank you so much, Nola, for sharing that with everyone, because I think when you told me you were going through the Sacred Woman passage, like I was like really astounded, because I was like, that ain't no joke, just because of what I read so far in the book.
It was a lot because, listen, we had to wake up at 4 a.m. every day, girl, and take a bath.
Wow.
Every morning. Even to this day, my sleep pattern can't get back to anything else. Like my body just wakes up 5 o'clock and I'm like, can we sleep, please? 4 a.m. between 3 and 5 a.m. That's the time when the powers are optimal. We can call it the hour of the goddess, when everybody's asleep. It's absolutely quiet. You can get up, do your devotions, do your rituals, and you take this bath. You have the herbs in the water, you have your candles, you have your crystals, you do your prayer, and then you start your day, and you're literally walking through the day like this, knocking everything out, because just in your mind, knowing that you're doing something that's empowering, it definitely gives you a boost.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful. I can't take baths in my house because I don't have a stand-up shower, but I think that is, and yeah, I take showers, guys. I have to clarify that. But yeah, I think that's amazing. It's almost like you have this time of day, it's really early, where you're really just getting your mind and everything attuned and aligned. So I really think that's amazing. And I'm gonna really try to finish read this book, because it's just so much.
Take your time. I would say take your time with it. Read one chapter, let that resonate, let that marinate, and if you need to take a break for 3 months, do that. Make sure it's organic. Make sure that the time that you go through it is authentic to you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really good advice, because sometimes how you like try to force things, and I'm always doing this to myself. I'm like throwing the bath water out with the baby. Like I force things on myself, and then, it just doesn't stick. So like you said, I think I'm definitely going to take your advice with the book. But I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Hills Restaurant, which you've been very vocal about on social media, and it's been in a bunch of news mediums. So if you could just share with everyone, the Hills Restaurant is basically a restaurant in Brooklyn, correct? And basically what I got from your social media, the gist is that they've been facing a lot of harassment from local entities in different areas of the government, where they've been fined all these crazy fines, to the point where it has threatened the existence of the business. I think I saw that it was like almost 100,000 plus in fines that they paid off originally, and now the state liquor authority wants them to pay 40,000 and require that they pay it within like 40 days, which that's a lot of money to put the fork over in such a short, span of time. But why do you think this is happening? Do you think it's like with racist intentions? Are they targeting certain businesses in certain communities? Do you have any more insight into that? And I don't know, it's just, to me, I was just like really, with everything going on in our communities, and a lot of people just organizing around things that have been going on from forever, and now we're really just trying to get things changed. Like, where do you think this is stemming from?
Man, this is stemming from the day people decided that they want to steal people from another continent to build a country.
Facts.
Okay, so the Hills Restaurant, which is the Hills BK on Instagram, is my mother's baby. Like I said before, my mother started out on a pavement in front of an airport, and she worked her way up. She started when I was a baby. I'm 37, so it gives you an idea of just how long this woman has been grinding. We opened our doors in 2009, so we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. What's been happening is, you know, all these years, everything has been okay.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, when and my claims are not unfounded because investigations have happened, research has gone down, and it's become very apparent that the things that the NYPD and the fire department and the state liquor authority have been doing, these things were planned, they were intentional. And what I like about these guys is they do everything by the book. They're very slick. Like, they don't kick down your doors and do anything crazy. So there was one instance where I had to go to court because I had 18 summonses. I had 18 summonses from 2 visits. Now, I had summonses for a fire extinguisher that was installed incorrectly, an exit sign with a dead battery, overcrowding. Police just raided the establishment. And when I was by myself, my mother was in another country, and they pretty much barged in 20 deep, 5 cars outside, sirens, lights, just all this hoopla. And what ends up happening is the people who are driving by, the people who are walking by, they're like, what type of restaurant is that?
Right.
Because typically when you see things like that, it's either a murder or some type of drug raid.
Right.
You know, you don't show up like that to do an inspection. So when they did the inspection, I ended up with all these summonses. And, you know, it's really crazy that I get a summons for overcrowding and you never counted the people. How did you compare the amount of people that were in the restaurants to the amount of people that we're supposed to have in there? No, you did not. So why I say is they do these things by the book is, okay, these summonses are valid, right? But I think a human or a person with a soul would say, this fire extinguisher is supposed to be on a certain type of bracket. You guys fix that. No, you give me a summons, because when I have all of these summonses and I go to the court, although you know they're BS, even the cops, when they give it to you, they're like, they're going to throw it out in court, but they give it to you because when you go to court, yes, they get thrown out, because even the judge is like, why are these cops wasting my time? Everything is thrown out. And mind you, I paid an attorney $2,000 to get me through that process because I had never seen anything like that. And it was intimidating having that many summonses. So we got everything thrown out. And what happens is, even though your summonses are thrown out, even though a judge said, you know what, these things are invalid, what happens is the SLA is still informed that it happens. So then the SLA is like, that's a lot that's going on. You know what? We're gonna mess with you. And that's pretty much what's been going on. And that's why I say they do it by the book, because they know all the little ways of making these things happen to make you look crazy and to put you in compromising positions where you could possibly lose your business.
Wow. So they're gaslighting you guys too.
Absolutely, for sure. And basically what, you know, I've been speaking with people, keeping my ear to the ground and figuring things out. And I don't know if you've ever heard of what happened to La Marina in Washington Heights.
No.
Are you familiar with that establishment?
No, I barely, I don't even think I've been to Washington Heights, to be quite honest.
Well, beautiful, beautiful place, beautiful restaurant. It's on the waterfront, just gorgeous. I took my cousin there for her birthday. When we got there, we had to park the car. Listen, I'm fly. I have on this dress, these heels. I get there and we have to walk so far. We had to park so far away and walk back that by the time I left that restaurant, the food was delicious. The ambiance was perfect. It's gorgeous because it's on the water. But I knew that I was never going to go back because, first of all, why am I parking that far when there's mad space in this place where I could park? But it wasn't until 2020 that I found out, listening to an interview with Fernando Mateo, who was the ex-owner. He went on Power 105. You can look that up on Google. And he talked about his experience where they kept coming in and they found a bottle by the door and they put these fines. And when they give you these fines, these are not regular fines. They hit you with these numbers that just make your heart want to stop. So long story short, his establishment was shut down. Now, when I left that place and I was like, I'm never going back, I know I'm representing a bunch of people who will no longer go back, because why do I have to walk that far to get to the restaurant? Anyway, found out that the cops were doing that. The city was doing that, just messing that up so people couldn't park nearby. Just all those little petty things they do to throw you off. Now, he lost his business, and then it was handed over to people who are a part of this gentrifier clique. So that's
Right.
what also
I was
happened.
just, I'm really happy you said that, because I was like, what reasons would all these entities that work for, that control town, village, city, like, it has to be a strategic reason for this. And I was like, the only thing I was thinking of, my mind, my little conspiracy mind in the back of my head's like, well, the only thing I could think of is that they're trying to get people who are owning their buildings or owning their property out of their property by whatever means, by finance, by making it impossible for them to afford, so that they can then take that property and then sell it. It's almost like a new form of stealing. Like, it's really crazy. Good on, it looks good on paper.
That's exactly what it is. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. They, these forces, I can't put a face or a name on them, but I can't say, hey, the police is trying to get rid of us. No, the police is taking orders from somebody.
Somebody on top. Yeah, it's high level.
Absolutely. And you know what happens? A lot of people lose their businesses. I attended a town hall meeting with the mayor of nightlife. I'm not sure if you knew there's a mayor of nightlife who, her name is Ariel Pallet. She focuses on nightlife establishments and all of the different things that we go through. Now they did a tour, a nightlife tour, where they went from borough to borough listening to the issues. Now, I stood up and I spoke, and basically my question was, there was a panel of a bunch of leaders, the head of the FDNY, NYPD, 311, SLA, everybody was there, Department of Buildings, everyone. And my question was, if you feel like an establishment could improve, if you feel like maybe we're not doing business on a perfect scale, why not call me, or why not call my mother and have a conversation with us, or have a meeting with us and say, listen, we think this is happening. How can we rectify it? Why would you show up with 20 cops over and over? This wasn't one time. This was probably 20 times this happened over the past 3 years. And why would you show up and make it look like a raid and then discourage people who might want to be our potential customers? Why do you do it like that? And after that, there was so much press. So many different people approached me, and I started speaking with different people. And then a hearing came up. A few local politicians stepped up, and they pretty much did the work, and a law was passed that makes it absolutely mandatory that when cops show up to do that specific thing, they have to have accountability. They have, because normally they don't even tell you why they're there. They just show up, kick your customers out. The customers lose their food, their drinks, and then they're standing outside for 3 hours, 2 hours, waiting to come back in. At that point, we can't even open back up.
Yeah, that's really disruptive. Yeah, and you're losing money. That's ridiculous.
So yeah. It's not just the money situation, but it's been very traumatizing. Yeah. And when you have a lot of that going on, SLA then says, you know what, we're going to take your liquor license because you're irresponsible. Wow. So they suspended our liquor license, and we had maybe 10 different people, political people, just powerful people in general, write letters on our behalf. And then they were like, all right, we're going to give you your license back, but it's going to cost you $40,000 and you have to pay this within 40 days.
So why did they, is this a fine for them suspending the liquor license? Or I don't understand why they now say you have to pay this. I don't get where this number is coming from.
Nobody gets where this number is coming from.
They're just pulling numbers out the wazoo.
Nobody ever understands why these numbers are so high, and you won't have two businesses. And that's a really great point.
It's black tax. That's what
what's the black tax? 39,000, because you might go to court for an overcrowding summons, and then they charge you $10,000 for that.
Wow.
And you can ask anyone in nightlife, especially nightclubs, who have had issues like that. They'll tell you that a whole lot of their monies go to fines and summonses and things of that sort. So we pay the $40,000. You know, we were able to come up with it because we have a super loyal customer base who keeps showing up and buying food. We raised the money, and girl, let me tell you, I think I was at Ascension in LA with Queen Afua, and my mom called and she said, we got the license back. And in the middle of my Ascension, I had to leave and go into a corner and cry like a baby. Like I was just bawling, not even because I was happy to have the license back, it's because you're being dragged.
Yeah.
And it's like, for what? So that somebody can come and have a property in the neighborhood and get rich?
Yeah.
Really? That's what you're doing? So we paid the $40,000, we got the license back, and then they were like, you know what? Now that you have your license back, you have to close 3 hours early.
Why?
That's just the stipulations, because they're in charge.
Yeah, they have too much control, too much power. Because it's like, who's governing? And I'm thinking out loud here. Where's the checks and balance for that agency? So, and I like that you mentioned that you politicians got involved. I think one of them was Eric Adams.
Well,
right?
Eric Adams recently got involved because, you know, this story got to him, and he did the research, he did the investigation, and he sees on paper how the number of raids in the Black and brown communities is completely different from other communities.
Yeah.
You know, and I would tell you, not calling any names, like my whole 20s, I was on the nightlife scene in Manhattan. And let me tell you, that's all I'm going to say.
Wow.
All I'm going to say is those clubs, there's a lot going on in there that we would never do.
We never
and
get
those
away
guys,
with it.
They're just sailing through with all of that. So...
And they could be paying people off too.
That happens.
Yeah.
We've been asked that. I've had people ask, like, do you pay them? I'm like, we're not paying anybody to run business a normal way. Absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, I know that a lot of people, and, you know, I have this conversation with my friends, especially with being involved with voting. And I'm glad that I know Eric, I guess, got wind of your story, but this is another reason why, you know, these people put in office, you should go to those people to, you know, help advocate for you, because, you know, of course you voted them in. But there's another side to, like, a lot of the things that get moving in New York and other cities, major cities, and just in general with politics, it's like, it's really just, it's about money. So if you have the money, you could get major things done. You know, it's not always this fair, even playing of like, oh, you voted for this and then you get a result. It really is about like putting money out there, lobbying, whatnot. And I think as people of color, we should be a lot more aware of that as well, and pooling our money together to get the change that we want to see. Because we're definitely, I honestly believe that you guys were being targeted for that exact reason. It's to get you out of there and probably just key up the location for someone else.
That's absolutely what's going on.
Yeah. So how can we help you guys? I know I saw that there's a GoFundMe right now. So what, besides, you guys are fundraising for $20,000, right? So how else can we help you and your family in the Hill succeed? Is there anything else that we can do? Should we share this information with our friends and family?
Yeah, for sure. The first thing that I will say is the people who have already been supporting, thank you guys so much. And it's not even necessarily that people make purchases, although that's ideal. When people send you, you know, I just before I got on this show, a friend of mine said, hey, I just saw something that you, a video on Facebook. I had no idea that was going on. Even stuff like that, you know. And I think people also see what other people are going through and they turn the blind eye. I'm not really sure where this mindset comes from,
Yeah.
but you know, that happens a lot where we see people struggling and we feel like, okay, that's their problem. Actually, no, it's your problem, because if we are a group of 60 women and 5 of our women are weak, we're a weak group. As opposed to a group of 60 people and 60 of them are good, they're a stronger group. So
Right.
don't think for one second that if one of us is a broken chain, that the whole link is, if one link is broken, that the whole chain is still intact. No, one
Right.
broken link is a damaged chain, period. Yes, there is a GoFundMe, and you can just go on GoFundMe and look up Help the Hills Stay Open, or type in the Hills Restaurant. We are raising funds because not only the moment we came out of this, of course, we never recovered from the first time something happened. It's been like a triple digit amount of fines. So in terms of dollar amount, but then the 40,000 came at the end, and we haven't even recovered from the beginning, and then the pandemic happened.
Right. So you just guys getting hit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, I'm going to definitely drop the link to the GoFundMe on this post. It's going to be, so just check down in the description. You'll see a link to that as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And
yeah,
buy some food, get a water, say.
I'm definitely going to do that. We're going to pull up, me and I are going to pull up, get some food. And we're also I'm going to donate on behalf of Raven Made as well. Because I'm a believer in, you know, you can't like promote something and then not take action yourself. So I'm going to help you guys out. So thank you for sharing that story about the Hills and what your mom has. Shout out to your mother and all the work she has done. I really commend her, you know, being an immigrant, coming to this country, building something from nothing and really grinding and working your way up. Definitely honorable. That's what, you know, I want to share. This is the reason why I have Raven Maven, is to share stories like this, to show our people that we can do all things and that we could overcome all things if we stick together. So I definitely, you know, shout out to your mom, and she, you know, send my love, you know, and support. But I want to switch gears a little bit, because that story did make me a little sad, but I want to talk about the Nola Ro Experience podcast launching tomorrow.
Here's the thing though. You know, it's definitely a challenging experience, but because of this experience, we've been able to connect with people that we were never able to connect with before.
Right.
We ended up learning about the economy, about society, about systemic racism. So even within the challenges, there are silver linings. So I appreciate having to go through that to learn everything that I'm learning. And then my life isn't all, you know, challenges and drama. We also have the Nola Ro Experience podcast, which is launching tomorrow, and I am super excited because, listen, I have things to say.
Yeah. So, what is your vision for your podcast? Like, what can people expect to hear from you on this new venture?
Well, my vision is, I think it's very important that our voices resonate around this planet. I think the people who don't always have great intentions, they've been running things for a long time, okay? Yeah. And it's time for the people who, our community is all about love, period. That's how we met, okay? Yep. And that's the type of DNA that we have. We're loving people, and I feel like we need to offset this thing that's been happening on the planet. And obviously it's happening. Like, there's so many people protesting. I'm super proud of that. But the Nola Ro Experience podcast is open discussion about a variety of things based on my experiences, based on your experiences. We swap insight. You teach me, I teach you. We probably debate a little bit. I've already had people throwing shade, like it happens. And I'm here for it because I love my community. I love interacting with people. And I think that nothing can really happen without a conversation happening first. So the Nola Ro Experience podcast is a conversation starter, and then whatever comes out of it comes out of it. But let's start talking first.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited, guys. By the time this episode of Raven Man drops, it will be out already. So, Nola Ro podcast would have launched. So I will, definitely drop links to that as well. So, congratulations on your new endeavors. I'm super excited. I guess I just want to close on a closing question. Nola, what would you like to share because, Raven Maven, we're Blacker than ever. We're here. This content that I create is for our people. So what would be any words of wisdom or encouragement that you would like to share from your own personal experience?
Well, my personal experience, girl, listen, where do I start? There's so many angles, and that's why this podcast is so important and so good, because I am a little skinny Black girl who was born in a small house in a small village, delivered by a midwife to a 19-year-old mother. Then I moved to America at age 10. Listen, I was molested at 4. I was molested at 7. I've gone through all types of abuse with boyfriends, and then found insight, found strength, and found power to always triumph. And I think being able to always go this way is what makes our conversations important. And if any type of conversation that pops up that's important, or a lot of times we don't want to tune in when it sounds too important, right? Because we want to always be on the ratchet side. I would say once in a while, tune into things that are important, because really every time you ignore something that's meant for you to listen to, you set us back a little bit. Just take a little bit of time to do that. And that's what the podcast is about too. We get ratchet, we get deep, we get silly, we get crazy. It's everything in one. It's for everybody, really. But spread love. That's always the bottom line. No matter what we're talking about, the message is always spread love. And that means don't be petty. If you have a piece of bread and somebody's starving, give them a little bit. You don't have to give them the whole thing. Like, nothing is going to happen to you if you eat a little bit less. And I mean, when I say bread, I don't mean the actual food. I mean money, opportunities, resources. If I ask you, where did you get that? You can share that. You're not going to lose out because you're giving me a piece of the pie. There are 8 billion people on this planet. There's enough customers for everybody. So share. We can all eat, and we can all eat and get full.
Yes. And have seconds
and thirds. So just spread love, stick together, guys. And you know what? I have so many crazy conversations in my DMs because my friends on social media, they all know that if they hit me up, we can talk. So if you want to have a conversation, if you want to tell me, listen, I think you can improve a little bit on that. I want that. I want you to give me constructive criticism because I want to get better. So, spread love in that way too. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. So, Nola, where can we find you on social media? And we're gonna pull it all together, guys.
Well, you know what? I have so many pages, but if you go to Whatever Nola Wants, all correct spelling, Whatever Nola Wants, all of my links are on that page.
Great. So Nola, thank you again for being a guest on our show. I really appreciate you sharing your story and being very transparent. I think the things that you're talking about is the things that our community needs to talk about and hear, and to just, and thank you for being an example and showing that through everything you've been through, good and bad, that the triumph and the beauty in it all. I think we all forget that even with adversity, there's still, you know, like you said, a silver lining, there's beauty in that. So thank you again for just being part of Raven Maven and being a maven, because you embody what a maven is. And guys, to wrap it all up, I just want to say, you know, thank you for watching Raven Maven and supporting us. And we will continue to have riveting and exciting interviews like this one. So if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe to our channel. And yeah, check out our new website, ravenmavenshow.com. And thank you. It's a wrap.
I love it.